Alright guys, welcome back. I haven't even shaved, so this is a very important update. And let's talk about the US-China trade talks. Now there have been multiple updates going on and it looks like Bessent is on a victory lap. And if we look at the headlines, it looks like we have a big framework ready. The entire trade negotiation centers around three things. Now the US tariffs on China, that's a big one. Trump has threatened to raise tariffs by additional 100%, which is just silly. Rescuing US farmers is another. The US wants Beijing to buy US soybean exports. And finally, for China to U-turn the rare earth punishments, to let Chinese supply flow back to the global economy, especially to the United States. Now, Bessent seems really pumped, and he just gave us a robotic summary of the trade talks, and here is the US plan.
President Trump gave me a great deal of negotiating leverage with the threat of the 100% tariffs on November 1st, and I believe we've reached a very substantial framework that will avoid that. We are going to be able to discuss substantial soybean and ag purchases for our American farmers. I think we are going to be able to discuss more balanced trade.
According to him, the Chinese has made incredible concessions to the US, and we have to dissect the claim to see who really has the winning hand here. Let's understand this. Now, both sides, they are coming to the table with their own set of cards. They played their hand and the American readout looks optimistic for the US economy. Now, Bessent says that China will delay their rare earth rules by a whole year. In addition, the Chinese will start buying US soybeans again. So imports will go from zero to something substantial. In return, Trump will not impose an additional 100% tariffs on imports from China. Remember, this is just what was revealed to us from the American side. We have no idea what the US had to give up behind the scenes for Chinese favors. Now, wrapping up the tariffs will hurt Chinese exporters, but it will also hammer down on US consumers as well. US consumer sentiment has collapsed to a 5-month low on the specter of higher prices. Current conditions have also dropped to a multi-year low. The affordability crisis is back to 2022. Because of the tariff war, consumers expect prices to stay persistently high. Expectations have hit 3.9% for the next 5 to 10 years, an increase from last month's 3.7%. In other words, the US economy, which is consumption-based, is also cracking. China today still sells more than $1 billion worth of goods a day to the US. So imposing a 100% tariff here is a self-defeating exercise. We'll be back in a battle of economic attrition. Will the US consumer collapse first, or will Chinese exporters crash even harder? Now, I would argue that removing the tariff benefits the US more. China will eventually find new markets. The proportion of exports to the US is significant, but it's not crippling at all. Global demand for Chinese goods is still rising. Despite the tariff war, total exports are nearing $4 trillion over the last 12 months. Even if all Chinese exports to the US gets cut off, it's only around 2.5% of China's GDP, maybe even lesser today. China's economy will still grow. However, US consumers will feel the pain through higher prices, and that will also trickle down to industrial inputs. Manufacturing costs will also fly to the moon, and that could be even more damaging to the US economy versus China. But let's talk about the soybean situation. Now, this is a big area of contention, and the crisis is getting even worse. US farmers are anticipating huge losses, and Trump was already preparing a $10 billion bailout. Bessent is now extremely confident that China will come back. This is a huge gamble because if it doesn't materialize, US farmers will get decimated.
Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer, so I have felt this pain too. And there are a couple of things happening here. One, the Chinese have substantially dropped their purchases to almost zero, so they unfortunately have been using American farmers. I believe when the announcement of the deal with China is made public, that our soybean farmers will feel very good about.
Now, apparently, Scott Bessent is now a farmer. Now, welcome to the Twilight Zone. It's one big comedy show now. Will China really purchase US soybeans? The majority of their imports today comes from Brazil and to a lesser extent Argentina. Are we headed back to a phase 1 deal where China commits to buying a certain amount of soybeans a year? And that would mean reversing China's hard stance on US soybeans. Even during the 2018 and 2019 trade war, China still bought 1.5 million tons a year on average. Today, it's a big fat zero. If China reverses this, it would mean buying less from Latin America, especially Brazil. This move would most definitely save US farmers, but what is Beijing getting in return? We have to think a little deeper here. Helping the US out is not an easy proposition for Beijing. Both economies are decoupling and the confrontation is not over yet. The chip war and AI race is not going to stop. Any benefit to the US economy would mean empowering them as well. China will need concessions of their own, and we just don't know about those yet. The mechanics of buying more US soybeans is not simple as well. China will have to drop their own tariffs on the US, and here's what we mean. US soybeans for October were priced cheaper than Brazilian beans, around $90 per ton cheaper, which is a 1 or 2% discount. In bulk and over time, this adds up. But China has imposed a 10% tariff on all US imports, remember? And that includes soybeans. In order for Chinese imports to resume, that would mean dropping the tariffs on US soy. That would mean scrapping the levy on $12 billion of Chinese imports. And a big shout out to our sponsor today, Indigo Precious Metals. When it comes to buying gold and silver, I trust Indigo Precious Metals in Singapore. They have made investing in precious metals safe, fast, easy, and simple for both small and large scale buying. I've been stacking gold for over a decade now, and I've learned two things when buying. You want to buy authentic gold bullion, and you want to buy it at the lowest premium possible to stretch your dollars even further. And I'm glad to say I found both of this at Indigo Precious Metals. Indigo Precious Metals is a leading retailer in Singapore. They specialize in physical gold, silver, and platinum. They are my one-stop shop when it comes to buying bullion. Their prices are sharp, and they have the best brands on sale, and I can test the gold on the spot. So if you're looking to make your first gold purchase, Indigo Precious Metals is the best place to start. Whether it's 1 ounce or 1 kilo, this is the reputable dealer you are looking for. So take action today. Click on the link below and enjoy a discount on your first purchase with the code SEANFOO. Start your gold stacking journey today. Beijing is not going to do that without concessions as well. Removing the 100% tariff threat is not really enough. It's not a big enough lure. There's probably something behind the scenes we aren't seeing yet. Finally, we need to talk about the rare earth curbs. Now, Bessent wants China to delay the restrictions by a year. The US is in a very precarious position, especially with the AI bubble growing. They need industries to reshore to the US, especially semiconductors. So the rare earth flows cannot afford to stop. But 1 year isn't enough to do anything when it comes to supply chains. What we will see is the US start to stockpile a ton of rare earths from China. That will most definitely happen. If I were Washington, that's what I will do. 70% of US rare earths comes from Chinese suppliers. Let's not forget about this. And some elements like scandium and yttrium, the dependence is 100%. So we can expect a frenzy of buying from the US and their allies. So China would most definitely throttle supplies on their end as well. They might not impose the new restriction, the 0.1% rare earth ruling, but expecting a buffet of rare earths at rock bottom prices is just insane. Sure, Trump will go around buying up more stakes in the world. We have seen deals struck domestically. We have seen Australia pitching their rare earths to Trump. And the US has now signed new mineral deals in Southeast Asia. Malaysia is one such example. Now, that might seem like diversification, but it will still take time. Building new mines and processing plants in Malaysia is possible, but you can't expect a miracle in 12 months. China still holds the rare earth card for many years to come. China only holds 60% of rare earth mining, so that monopoly can be broken given enough time. The problem is the refining portion of the supply chain. Malaysia is the second biggest refiner in the world, but they only have 4% market share. The Chinese, however, hold 91% of global refining capacity. And let's not forget the cost efficiency plus the expertise, which affects refining yields as well. If the US or Europe wants to revive their manufacturing industry, especially for high tech sectors like semiconductors, they still need China. There's also another reason why the tariff war is unsustainable. Now, Trump has said it himself. It's simply not sustainable, and the numbers are finally in. Global supply chains are broken and costs they are all rising, and this estimate is highly conservative. S&P analyzed 9,000 companies worldwide to find the real cause of the tariffs, and we are staring at a $1.2 trillion black hole. Trade barriers are essentially taxes on supply chains. If you're a US importer, your inputs now cost more. You have to pay tribute to Trump. And if you're an exporter, your margins will shrink to recapture market share. So this is one big lose-lose proposition. Now the report goes on to say that consumers will feel the brunt of the pain. Only one third will be borne by companies, the rest by consumers, which is absolutely on point. This is doubly so for the US whose supply chains are still horribly broken. Now, what's funny is how the administration keeps deflecting reality. And once again, Scott Bessent doesn't believe in the idea of high inflation from tariffs. Trump promised cheaper groceries, but it's just not happening today.
Mr. Secretary, coffee prices are up 19% from a year ago. Beef is up almost 15%, and bacon up almost 6%, just to name a few. So when are all grocery prices going to come down?
Well, Kristen, it's unfortunate. As much as I like you, you like to cherry pick. So, when we came in, it was eggflation, eggflation, eggflation. Egg prices are down, gasoline prices are down. Overall, the inflation since President Trump has come in, has come down.
Why do you think they want to de-escalate with China? The additional 100% tariffs on Chinese goods is just not feasible. It will collapse the entire system. The consumer class will be decimated. By halting the 100% tariff punishment on China, the US is essentially saving their own economy from further damage. There is a big affordability crisis happening. Americans are falling behind on their car payments. Subprime delinquency rates for auto loans have hit an astounding 6.43%. That is almost a new record high. It's even worse than the '08 financial crisis, 1.4% more. All these big ticket items are getting unaffordable. Imagine if goods in Walmart or Target just double in price. There will be massive cutbacks. People will have to choose. They will get the essentials, they will buy less, and just dump the big payments on their auto loans. There is a cascading effect to the tariff war that is lurking beneath the surface. So if you think the US is doing a favor to China with this trade deal, it's probably the other way around. Bessent is trying to prevent the entire economy from hitting the iceberg. It's important to remember this is just a framework deal. We have no idea of the concessions given by the United States to China. Very likely, Bessent considered a lot of things as well. Even if the deal goes through, the long-term trajectory of the decoupling won't stop. It's basically a truce for China and the US to take a breather before embarking on the long game. The Chinese themselves are warning that a multipolar world is coming. There's no stopping the future of the world economy. It's a jab against the US tariff war and how it is fracturing global markets. China's plan to rise centers around globalization and reaching out through global trade. Now, the US has no choice but to collapse inwards, and its trade war is splitting the world into blocks. And this makes it harder for China to expand their footprint. And that's the big picture, and whatever happens in Korea won't really change it. But let me know what you think. What did Bessent concede to China? And can the trade deal save the US economy? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as we navigate through these insane times.